in our journey towards understanding the complexities and issues involved in engineering design, we have discussed various topics. If you recall the main process that we defined for ourselves in our initial lectures, you would recall that the focus of the topic was mainly to identify an optimal solution to the problem. When we encounter a problem, we said that you populate the solution space with as much solutions as possible. Then pick one optimal solution using various techniques that we have discussed. Then finally, as we have seen in our previous lectures, try to bring the abstract concepts into physical form, embodiment. And while doing so, we have to keep into consideration three issues: the technical issues, the usability, that is ergonomics as we called it, and the aesthetic value of the product. We have come so far now. Now the very next step would be to elaborate on the design. We have done a preliminary sketch of our solution. We are saying that this is possibly the solutions that I will implement. Once I have such a solution and I have embodied all my critical requirements into it, the very next step is to elaborate on the design. Make design in such a way that anyone who has a preliminary knowledge of implementing can implement it. But before doing so, before we actually venture into the detailed design and further into implementation, one small activity is included formally in any engineering. That is what we call as modeling. Modeling. The job in this particular phase of modeling are basically two. One, we check for completeness of our design. We have to convince ourselves that we have captured all the essential components of our solution. Checking for completeness is first requirement of modeling. We want to be sure that we have covered everything and we have not left anything. One. Second is correctness. Correctness. We want to be sure that whatever design we have selected actually works. So to accomplish these two tasks, that is to check for completeness and to check the correctness of the solution, we embark into a process called as modeling. Modeling. Model generally is a term used in generic sense also as a modeler. The general usage, how do we use the word model? Optimized solution to a problem, however you think it as. Idealism is a characteristic enshrined in whatever things we call as models. Anyway, we'll not go deep into that. So modeling is a process for us to check the correctness and to check the completeness. That let us be sure about that. Now how to do that in engineering? There are three ways to do this. Three ways. First is mathematical modeling. That will be the focus of my today's lecture. Mathematical modeling is the first technique, wherein we try to capture the entire solution using mathematical language. That is first approach. The second approach, which I differ from Ken Hurst a bit in terminology, I call it physical modeling or prototyping. Ken Hurst uses a different phrase for this. I prefer the term prototyping or physical modeling. That is, when you have to build something, the best way to do is it? Build a small prototype, a mini version of the actual solution, which has all the qualities you want. That is the second approach. The third approach is simulation. Simulation using a computer, you try to recreate your solution and then try to analyze. Basically, there are these three techniques: mathematical modeling, prototyping, and simulation. Let me focus on mathematical modeling too. Mathematical modeling of any solution is based upon a basic assumption that you can fit in any physical aspect into mathematical equation. It's a basic assumption. Let us analyze both sides of this argument. One, whether all physical activities can be accomplished using a mathematical equations, and on the other side, what are the various counter arguments to this statement. It is not surprising, I think, that who said? Lord Kelvin said, to measure is to know. If you can't measure something, you can't know it. In fact, Kelvin also said that there is nothing called as research or discovery in physics. In physics, what physicists do is more accurately measure something. What do we do in physics? We actually measure things. What do we do in mathematics? We actually try to speak the physical aspects in a very different way, in a mathematical language. Everything we see around us sometimes appears to follow a particular mathematical equation. Very interesting. See anything around us, everything seems to follow a particular mathematical equation. Example, take what is that called as Fibonacci series, which is one of the very famous series in mathematics, which we as computer engineers are very fond of because of various reasons. I don't know whether you understand the importance of Fibonacci series in computer science. Anyway, but Fibonacci series has a reflection in the biological world also. If you see the way the leaves emerge out of a tree, they follow Fibonacci series. They follow Fibonacci series. Even the structure of a sunflower follows Fibonacci series. Everything seems to follow a particular equation. Y is equal to mx plus b, the linear equation, is more commonly used in to model various physical activities. So sometimes, for example, see days, months, count, everything follows a pattern, a very mathematical way of doing things. That is why I guess mathematician James Jeans said that the more I study about the universe, I think that the God should be a mathematician, because everything in this world seems to be in a perfect kind of mathematical sense, right? Engineers have been long obsessed with this syndrome of mathematically expressing things. In fact, the job of any engineer basically is to do a design and prove mathematically that it works. For example, a civil engineer's job basically is to draw a plan on how to construct a dam or a building or any structure and prove that the numbers he has chosen is right for that particular context. For example, this beam, you know, right? Uniform load, variable load, bending moment. Have you studied all such things? There are equations to cover all this. Take, for example, any discussion under electrical sciences. There are equations to govern them. electromagnetic induction and all that, there are equations to govern. For example, if I want to know the resistance, there is a formula, very famous formula for it, which is the basis of electrical science. If I want to do the communication purposes in a fiber optic cable, there are equations governing it. If I want to find out how much thickness should the blade of the wings of an aircraft should be, there are formulas to calculate it. The identity of any engineer, the one book every engineer will carry as a mark of his profession is the data handbook. Ask a chemical engineer. He can't survive without his data handbook. Ask a civil engineer, there are building codes. There are data which tells him how to choose, what to choose and stuff like that. In fact, even in computer science, you will later learn that, for example, all the algorithms that we write here can actually be measured. Given a choice between bubble sort and selection sort and what to select, we can actually measure and say this performs better than this. This is one of the important judgment that you will be taught how to do. Basically, the point is this. Whatever may be the field of human study, in engineering especially, we firmly believe that they can be combined into a mathematical formulation. And once we do that, we are convinced that that particular formulation of a solution should be correct. There is a sense of comfort with mathematics. Once you are able to prove something, you can rest in peace thinking that this solution will work. Right? This is there in one side. In fact, in Ken Hurst's book, there are examples and examples given. I don't want to go into that because they are very specific to particular problem domains, which we are least bothered about. But let me focus on the other part of the discussion, which is important for me. The limitations of such thinking, which Ken Hurst never discusses. Is mathematical modeling the only solid way of proving that your design is correct? Are there limitations for mathematics? Does mathematics have limitation? Mathematics department people will throw me out of the campus if I ask such a question. A very proud mathematician will never agree that there is a limitation for mathematics. Can mathematics be limited? Have you come across any situation where you have found that mathematics is useless in this situation? We engineers should not talk about this because it's our foundation. Limitations of mathematics. Have you encountered any time? No, mathematics is ultimate science which does not have limitation, is it? No limitations of mathematics. Have you not read Swami and his friends? R.K. Narayan's. There is a very famous episode which comes there where Swami very well argues about the limitations of mathematics. Of course, it's on the lighter vein, but I take it up because how mathematics does not consider the realistic scenario sometimes. There is an episode in Swami and his friends where Swami's father gives Swami a simple mathematical problem to solve. If one mango costs 10 paisa, what is the cost of 10 mangoes? Problem to solve. Swami takes his time, and after a long time he is not able to solve the problem. Swami's father becomes angry and goes to beat him and all that. Finally, what is your problem now? Is this not taught to you in the class? Very simple mathematics. One mango costs 10 paisa, what is the cost of 10? Swami explained, this is not the issue now. The issue is something else. I want to know whether the mangoes are ripe or not. I want to know of what quality the mangoes are, because that will determine its price. For Swami, this is the most important question to answer, not simple mathematics. Right? This for me actually contains all the problems of mathematics. Mathematics tries to build a very idealistic world, which is not the case. Let me give you one more example of using mathematics in a very wrong situation. Let us collect the data of all toppers in engineering, and let us build a huge chart. All toppers. Topper 1 spends 10 hours in a day studying. Therefore, CGPA was 9.99. Student 2 spends 12 hours every day, CGPA 9.99. You make a chart. Finally, can we say that if you find the average, do the normalization, standard deviation, whatever you know, all those symbols, alpha, theta, beta, and all that. And finally, can you say, if anybody studies for this many hours, the CGPA will be. Can you make? Or one more equation, you measure your own performance. I studied for 4 hours every day, therefore my CGPA was 7.8. Therefore, if I want CGPA of 9.9, how many hours I should study? Can we make such a mathematical model and find out the value and study? No. Mathematics makes certain assumptions and builds the model based on the assumptions. A mathematical is as good as the assumptions made. We should understand that. Have you heard of Barber's paradox? Bertrand Russell, the very famous philosopher, one person whom I admire very much, he gave us the very important limitation of formal thinking. You should know this. In computer science, we focus more on formal logic. Formal logic andre truth, Boolean algebra. There is a particular limitation of Boolean algebra. This is thanks to Bertrand Russell. Bertrand Russell gave us the first time. Okay, let me first explain it in a formal way, then the Barber paradox. Formal model is this. Let us say we are making a list. A listally, let us say there are 10 lists inside that system. We are making a system. I don't bring chalk piece set. I have chalk piece. You know how to write here. One system, I am writing the list. List 1, let me name it L1. This is a library. One library, I am making different lists. List 1 are the names of the books pertaining to subject computer science. I will make a list. List 1, L1. L2 is list of books pertaining to electronics. Something like that, L3, L4, L5, L6, L7, L8, L9. 9 lists are there. Now I write one more list L10 into this system. The members of L10 are those lists, please listen carefully, those lists which do not contain themselves. L10 is the list which contains the names of this L1, L2, L3 which do not contain themselves. Then what will be the elements of L10? L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, L6, L7, L8. Because L1, the name list, is not there inside the list. Did you get the point? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಬುದ್ಧಿವಂತರಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ. Now, what is the problem with this? If you consider the entire system containing 10 lists, L10 should contain the name of the list which do not contain themselves. Is this system complete? No. Why? Does L10 list contain itself? No. Therefore, you should write L10 inside that list. The moment you write it, it becomes self-defeating, because we have said L10 should contain only those lists which do not contain themselves. ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ತಲೆಗೆ? So what is the problem? Problem is there cannot be consistency. Thanks to Gödel, we know the answer for this. Gödel's incompleteness theorem. What did Gödel say? Gödel said that in any system there will be something which are true, but you can't prove it. ಇದು ದುನಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ it's very important. No philosophy. So To explain this in a better way, Bertrand Russell designed what is called as Barber's paradox. It's very simple to understand. Same thing, layman's language. Barber's paradox. Imagine that there is a a small town, where there is a compulsion that all men should be clean shaved. It is a compulsion. There is only one barber in the town. All men should be clean shaved and there is a barber. All the men in the town, they either shave themselves or they go to the barber. That is the case in the small town, happy. Let us make an assertion now. Assertion will be, all men in the town shave themselves or they get shaved by the barber. Therefore, what is the assertion? Barber will shave only those men who don't shave by themselves. Logical. What will barber do? What will barber do? There is a rule. Everybody should be clean shaved. He can't shave, no? Tala buddhivantarige matra adike ಹೇಳಿರೋ. Please listen very carefully. This is a problem formulated by Bertrand Russell in 19th century. I have meditated a lot on this. It's a very interesting problem. Please think on it. Self-contradictory statements. These are self-contradictory. Very interesting classes. Artha is the problem. Please meditate on this. What is the solution to this problem? I have come up with a solution after much meditation. According to me, the barber should be a very sincere Sikh. A devout Sikh, if he is the barber in the town, this problem can be solved. Otherwise, no. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವರು ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಶೇವನ್ ಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಡಿವೋಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ. ನೋ ದಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಲೈಟರ್ ವೇನ್, ಬಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಬಿಗ್ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಲಾಜಿಕ್, formal logic actually. So Bertrand Russell, thanks to Bertrand Russell, we know that formal logic also has limitations. One of the problem here that we should understand is that irrespective of the fineness of mathematical formulations that we make, of course no disrespect to mathematics, it's a great science and foundation for all of our understanding. Mathematical modeling, one, is very tough to accomplish. Second, cannot be applied for every engineering domain. Especially, I will tell you, mathematics is a very big failure in software engineering. Ask any senior student, any engineering student, just see whether they can survive without a calculator. They can't, but a software engineer can easily survive. We don't need calculators at all. You can throw your calculators after second semester. There is no use of it. We don't rely on mathematics. All the probability distribution functions and stochastic modeling which you study with great interest here, all the partial differential equations which are so interesting now, will become useless once you enter into the core engineering discussion. It should not, but unfortunately we have done it so. That is why, see, any electrical engineer, when he has to design a new electrical installation, the first question he will ask is, what is the load factor, how to balance the load. He will do that. A building designer will talk about the load factor, but come to software engineering, nobody talks about the load factor. When we design a website, nobody asks the question, how many people will come and visit the site? Will the server sustain itself with so much high traffic? What should we do to sustain so much traffic? Nobody asks such questions. That is why you see more and more web enterprises failing. so many softwares not being able to generate as much success as we expect it to be. Do you know the numbers? 8 out of 10 software fails. No other engineering domain has such a high failure ratio. Only software has. In fact, since we are family, I am telling you, I sometimes feel that it is a great insult to the name engineering that we associate it with software. The word software engineering does not go together at all, because we don't follow engineering principles in software development. Nobody does that. There was an idea earlier. It is not that people have not tried. People have tried. When you write a program, how do you check whether it is correct or not? If you are using a C kind of an environment, you compile the program. What a worst scenario. Shall I give the similar environment in civil engineering? If you want to understand what is compiling in computers, it is like building a building and then throwing a stone over there to see how good it is. Compiling has a very different purpose. Compiler is not there to tell you the mistakes. Nobody tests a program. When a product is designed, it will be tested. You test a program. But program testing is such an alien idea. Now, starting with next year, for the first time in India, we are starting a laboratory course in software testing. In VTU, I am designing the syllabus. And there is so much resistance from people. The idea of software testing is so alien. You ask any senior software engineer on how to test a program, he will go blank. And this is a fact. When we say that software is a multi-billion-dollar industry and we are not serious on testing, there was an attempt earlier to consider every program as a mathematical statement and to prove a program. That concept never got its importance because it was considered to be tough. Anyway, so what I am trying to say is, with much sadness, we should record the fact that though mathematical modeling is a very, very powerful tool, at least in software engineering, it does not have a very major role to play. Some musician, yes, it's good. It seems Pythagoras also listened to some music like this and formed the scales and notes and that. Okay. So mathematical modeling has its limitation, but somebody can use it. I am not going into more depths. The second way of modeling is what I call as prototype. Prototyping in the physical world refers to building a small scale, two-dimensional or three-dimensional, functional or non-functional model, working model, that's most important, of a design. But in software, the concept of prototyping is entirely different. I don't plan to continue it now.